finally, number 10. It says to consider the following table that gives selected values for a function f of x. Bobby found the first consecutive differences as shown below and concluded that the function is not linear. Which of these is true? So this is one of those problems where we have to figure out if Bobby's math is okay. And the way to do that is to do your own math and figure out if your math matches Bobby's. So the first thing that I want to tell you is that this piece is a distractor. Okay? Because this piece and this bit of information are exactly the same. We don't have to do anything with that piece. We can use that if we want to, but these are the same values. And because I need the space, I'm going to cut away this part and just work with these values. So we know the purpose of this problem was to find the first consecutive difference. So let's set up a table to do that. And I'm going to do it this way this time because I want to show you something. All right, we know that the first line is x. The first column, I should say. That's a little bit misleading. So there are 6 of those values. I really don't need these last lines. I don't need this top line. Okay, we know that some function, and we don't know what that function is. We don't have to know because we're given the outputs. Now up to this point, you and I have had to work hard for these outputs. We've had to evaluate a function to get those. But this time they're just telling me the outputs. Remember, f of x is another way of saying output, and x is another way of saying input. So they've done the work for us. They have given us the outputs. And then we have to find the consecutive difference. So really all that you and I have to do is this part to check our work. So 1 minus 2 is -1. And I can already tell you that Bobby has a problem just based on this information. Let's look at Bobby's table. We really didn't even have to draw a table because here's a problem. 1 minus 2 is not 1. That is not a true statement. So I can already tell you that Bobby's incorrect. So we can go over here and eliminate some answers. A says Bobby is correct, and we know that he is not. C says Bobby is correct. We know that he's not. So we have to choose between B, D, and E. All right, so let's keep working. I still prefer my own math to Bobby's. So this is -1. This is -1, difference 0. This is -2, difference -1. And so I'm seeing a pattern here that I really like to see because this is consistent with a linear function. So the common consecutive difference is -1. So he was okay on some of them, and some of them he wasn't. So let's take a look at these choices. The answer is B. Let me just go ahead and tell you that. Bobby is not correct. The function is linear because the first consecutive differences are common. He miscalculated the consecutive differences. That's the answer. But let's look at D and E. Bobby is not correct. I'll buy that. The function is linear. I'll buy that too. Because the first consecutive differences have the same absolute value, and I'll buy that too. But that's not what makes a linear function. The rule for a linear function is that these values must be common. It has nothing to do with the absolute value. Even though that's true, the absolute value of all of those would be 1, but that's irrelevant. We are talking about common consecutive differences, and that's what happened in this problem. Bobby missed it because he miscalculated. E says Bobby is not correct. Again, I'll buy that. That's true. The function is linear. I agree with that because the x values are consecutive integers, and that is true also. What that's saying to me is that all of these values are in a line. There is no skipping of an interval. They're right one after the other. So all of that is true. Everywhere I've put a check mark, I can't argue with that statement. But again, that has nothing to do with that commonality. The common consecutive difference is what we're looking for. And Bobby missed this problem because he miscalculated right there. There's a problem with his math. This one's a little bit tricky because D and E technically have true information, but that's not what defines a linear function. The linear function is defined right there. As long as those values are the same, we're in good shape. And he just did the math wrong. Okay, if you have any questions on these problems, please let me know. I know they're very hard, and I apologize again for not being able to do them with you in class. And I will post these just now here in a few minutes, and hopefully you can check your work and see if you have any questions you want to ask. Have a great day. I'll see you guys Monday at 3 o'clock, and I will be back home, so we shouldn't have any problems with the internet. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Stay well, guys. I'll see you soon.